Good morning. It's Thursday, the 24th of January, and today we're going to be looking at James 4. I hope you've read it already. Maybe pause and go and read it if you haven't, because it's another fat chapter. It's another chapter that is going to rock our comfort in ourselves, maybe more so even than chapters 1, 2, and 3, because this chapter, as you can see, is entitled Submit Yourself to God. And it's all about submission, all about humility, not being prideful, however else it is that you want to put it. And I think what's incredible about the kind of submission, the kind of humility, the lack of pride that Christians are called to is that this isn't a self-debasing kind of situation. It's not lacking self-esteem. It's not putting yourself down or thinking badly of yourself, but rather it's thinking about God as being so much better, wiser, and more fantastic than we can ever imagine. And the fact that he's put that value, he's put his image into people like me, people like you, people like the people that we love, and the people that drive us nuts. And I think this whole chapter, which is about submitting ourselves to God, is full of absolute gems because it's so practical. It tells us, not to quarrel and fight. It tells us not to make friends with the world at the expense of being a friend of God. It tells us to submit ourselves to God and to submit to one another, and not to slander each other, not to be mean about each other, not to judge each other. I mean, I love that bit about judging, because it says that if you judge, you're not actually living the law, you're just thinking about it. And in fact, actually, you're breaking the law. I think the idea that judging other people is something that God does not ask of us. And that's another layer of humility and submission, is to say that what I think of someone else and their wrongdoing or right doing is irrelevant. We're all ants running around with a great big God looking down, but putting extreme value on us. So we can't judge what's wrong or right. We can't be the law judges. Instead, we are the law keepers when we don't judge and when we submit to God. And it even kind of gives the answer to that, which is that when someone does something wrong to us, we're not to hate our enemies, but we're to pray for those who persecute us. We're to turn the other cheek. And in this way lies peace, but it also lies, in this way lies authority. And I don't know about you, but I sometimes need help living this with God way, with God's value in my heart, with his law to follow, his way to follow, but it's a way of freedom. It's not a way of judgment. And so today, as we turn to ask God for his help, I wonder who it is that you need help to be wise with, to be submissive with. How can you approach that person that is making your life so difficult? How can you live in such a way that isn't them walking over you and not being just? Because God is a just God. He doesn't want you to be walked over. He doesn't want you to be a doormat. He wants you to stand up for justice, but at the same time not standing up for yourself as the object of injustice, but standing up for justice because we're standing up for God's ways. I wonder how we can open our hearts before God and ask him to pour the wisdom of James 4 into our practice. So we're not just thinking about it, but we're actually genuinely, authentically living in that submission. And I think that open-heartedness gives us a moment of silence. The Psalms talk about how we can be silent before God. And I think this place of submission puts us beyond words. So why don't we take a moment when this little film is finished and just open our hearts before God, take a few breaths and ask him, help me submit to your ways. I choose your ways. I don't choose to fight or battle or try or insist. Instead, I receive your love, which is like a shield around me. And I submit myself to God. But even in that, I need his help. Help me to submit, God. Have a great day. We're not fasting today, so that's nice. But we're still drawing close to God as we follow him and as we face the challenges that this day will bring. Bless you. Hope that you have a great time of prayer just now. See you tomorrow.